What's up, Row Show Tactical subscribers and viewers? Haven't made a video in a long time. As sometimes is a custom, I get busy, I get doing other things, I get to, building things, and kind of, taking absence from making videos. So in this video, so recently, I would say probably in the last 2, 3, maybe 4 years, optics on carry pistols has started to become more and more popular. You're starting to see a lot more people do it, a lot more manufacturers actually releasing optics cut slides from the factory. And so I wanted to get into just kind of a brief discussion, nothing super crazy or anything like that, into if that, in my opinion, is extremely necessary in today's world on a carry pistol. Now, before I get into breaking down carry pistols, there are obviously, different categories for carry pistols. You have your Glock 19. Some people carry, Glock 17s. The 23, the 30, even the 34. I've heard some people, kind of carrying the 34, the 320, those kind of bigger guns that maybe back in the day didn't really seem to be like a big gun, but now with all like the micro nines and like the double stacks and all that kind of thing, they've actually become big guns, right? So that's kind of, to me, like a different category. To me, if it's something like you could carry inside the waistband or outside the waistband, that's kind of a different, at least in my, the way I think, that's a little bit different than necessarily a, just like a small, like micro carry gun that you're going to carry inside your waistband. Something sort of like this Glock 43, one of my favorite guns of all time. Yes, it doesn't have the highest capacity, especially considering, there's guns coming out now 10, 12, 13 plus 1 that are basically in the same size category, like, the 365, the Hellcat, guns of that nature. Getting into things like the X Macro and stuff like that, to me, again, that's something completely different. In my opinion, the X Macro is kind of what the 320 should have been. Sig went and created the 365, kind of revolutionized the category, and then they slowly made that platform bigger. To me, the 365 macro is not in the same category as a 365. So again, that's neither here nor there. This one here, kind of, just some things that I've kind of done to that. Got the obviously the Overwatch trigger on there. I have the Ameriglow night sights. This is a Clint Corbin knurled slide. Sort of looks a little bit like maybe a Gray Ghost, but they're always out of stock and you can never really find them. And if you do, it costs more than actually buying this gun would cost. So to me, something like that is not really worth it. Gun is unloaded. I do have the extended slide stop there, and this is a Tribe Defense aftermarket barrel, kind of a cool looking barrel. So what I wanted to get into on this video was just something I have learned with carry guns. A gun like this is not going to be something that you take to the range, right? This is not going to be something that you are sitting there running training courses with, or anything like that. This is meant to keep in a purse, in your waistband, in your pocket, something of that nature, and to get it out and be able to defend your life should you need to do so. It's a very small pistol. It's very concealable. That's what I like about it. The reason I like this pistol over the 43X is because I like the versatility of it. I like the ability to run a flush mag and be able to stick this in my pocket. I can run mag extenders and get a full purchase on it, and can be running it 8 or 9 plus 1, or you can get the Shield Arms 9-round mags, and you're almost at the capacity of a 365 or something like that. So I like the versatility of this gun a little better than I like the 43X. I feel like that gun sort of backs you into a corner, and you're just kind of stuck there with the size of the grip. I'm not a big fan, as I've stated, on running anything but OEM mags in my guns, especially Glocks. There's a reason that there's so many different platforms that have come out that, you know, accept and take Glock mags. It's because they're reliable, they work. So to me, there's no reason to mess with that. If Glock thought that this was, you know, a 9 or a 10 round gun, they would have made it a 10 round gun. Same thing with the 43X. If they wanted that to be a 15+1, they would have made it a 15+1. The people who create the guns, who create the technology, who create the mags, all that kind of stuff, if they don't think it's a 15 round gun, it's not a 15 round gun. So that's that. Getting into, you know, kind of what I want to talk about is, you know, people are always talking about, you know, should I run an optic on my gun? Something like this, to me, of this size, is absolutely ridiculous to run an optic on. I wouldn't run an optic on this. I wouldn't run it on the original Hellcat or the 365, anything like that. You know, you start getting into maybe the Hellcat Pros, the 365 XLs are a little bit bigger here. You know, the Glock 19s, the 48s, things like that. Then it starts to me making a little bit more sense. But you take away basically the versatility and all the advantages of a gun like this if you put an optic on it, because you're then adding something that's about that high, and then you can't necessarily get it in your pocket the right way. It's a lot bulkier. It's harder to get out of your pocket. You know, things of that nature. And what I mean by why I wouldn't run an optic on this is there's an easy way, and this was taught to me a long time ago. You know, there's no training that you can have that's going to prepare you for, you know, any kind of encounter that you may have with, you know, with a bad guy or a group of bad guys or anything like that. Even running through training courses with, you know, with training guns and all that kind of stuff, yeah, that's a little bit more pressure than just, you know, going to the range or whatever. But even in your own psyche and mentality, you know that that's a training exercise, right? And can training exercise help you? Absolutely. I'm not saying they can't. Is something like that better than nothing at all? Absolutely it is. But in comparing that to, you know, you being at a gas station and pumping gas, and then all of a sudden, you know, a guy or two comes around the car and tries to, you know, rob you or tries to take your car, what you'll face in that moment, both from a mental, a physical, emotional, you know, kind of adrenaline standpoint, it's not going to be the same even in a training course. So there's nothing you can really do to prepare you for that. That's just the truth. And getting into an optic on a pistol, like, you know, I have optics on some of my pistols. You know, I have a 365 XL Spectre Comp that I built that's blacked out. You can check out the video on the channel for that. It's got the Romeo Zero and the shroud on it and all that. If you're not used to using an optic, it takes a while to learn how to use an optic. And from that standpoint, it's not so much hard to pick up on. It's hard to get an accurate draw and presentation of that firearm to get that dot exactly where it needs to be every single time. And even in training and doing dry runs and dry firing and all that stuff, it takes a while to do that. Now, in a stressful situation, when, you know, if you have to pull your firearm and somebody's, you know, 15, 20 feet away from you and you can lock it on them and you have time to do that, is a dot beneficial on a defensive pistol? Absolutely. But how many times realistically are you going to be in that situation where you're going to have all that time? You know, most encounters, whether you talk to people that have been in them, whether you watch, you know, videos online, you know, whatever it may be, it happens like that. It's like 1 or 2 seconds and it's within 5 feet. You're not more than likely going to have time to pull that, present it, get the dot on somebody, and fire off shots if you need to do it. You're just not going to have time. It's basically going to get it out, get it on target, and just start firing, right? So that's what I mean when I talk about, you know, carry optics on a defensive pistol. Is, to me, I don't know. I'm not telling you that it's wrong. I'm not telling you that it's right. That's for each individual to decide for themselves. But what I am saying is, statistically, realistically, are you going to have time to get it out, boom, present it, bang, make sure that you have the dot where it needs to be and just start firing? More than likely not, because it's going to happen so fast. It's going to be in close proximities. Sometimes you're literally just going to be able to maybe hold off with the hand, pull it, and shoot from retention. You're not going to be able to do that anyway, right? So is it necessary on a defensive handgun, something you're going to use for close quarters? To me, it's not. To some people, they may disagree. They may say that it is, and that's fine. Again, to each their own. But one thing I wanted to kind of show you and just, point out something that people may not realize or may see it and they just don't kind of put it together is on striker fired guns, in most striker fired guns, you're going to have, your little back plate here, right? On, a hammer fired gun, the hammer's going to be down, and where the hammer strikes, you're going to have some sort of an area right there to look at. Now, if you look at where this area is at and where the barrel of the gun lines up, they're the same spot, right? They're the same spot. So even if you have an optic on your pistol or you have night sights or whatever, if you pull it and at least get this pointed center mass and fire, you're going to hit your target every single time. You don't necessarily need the optic and the green dot and the red dot and all that stuff and the night sights and all that kind of stuff. If you just follow that fundamental and get this back plate pointed center mass on your target and fire, you're going to hit it every single time. So that's something that, I learned a while ago, something, that I, have taught my wife, taught my daughter, taught my friends that shoot, even my friend who is state patrol. I have talked to him about certain things that, I've experienced or learned in training and showed him some certain stuff that, he has incorporated into, his routine. So that's just a good rule of thumb. That's a trick. That's, something that, even a novice shooter, you don't have to be a great shooter, an expert shooter, or anything like that. You just put this center mass, right? If I'm aimed at my painting back there, and that's a person, and I just put that in the middle of that and fire, I'm more than likely going to hit the middle of that painting or close to, right? So you don't necessarily have to lock onto your night sights or lock onto an optic in a close quarter confrontation to be able to hit your target if you just remember that rule of thumb. So that's my take on that. Again, to each their own based upon knowledge, experiences, circumstances. Of course, there are going to be some people that agree with what I say. There are going to be some people that don't. And again, that's okay. This is just another piece of information or another tool for you to, maybe think about or add to your routine or add to your tool belt should you, be in the unfortunate incident of having a confrontation with somebody. So let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about that information. What you think about having, carry optics on a pistol, on a carry pistol, something this small, a micro. Is it necessary? Does it really help you that much? Is it realistic that in a quick close quarters encounter that you're going to be able to get it on target and on site anyway? Let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel if you want. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Share the video if you want. And until next time, I'm out of here.